A young Marine sits alone in a military courtroom, surrounded by senior officers who watch her like she doesn't belong. The general presiding over her hearing leans forward with a smirk and asks a question meant to humiliate her in front of everyone. "What's your kill count?" The room goes silent. Why? Pasted. Convert the following transcript into proper paragraph form. You must not delete, change, or skip any words or sentences. Not even a single word should be missing. Only adjust the formatting, punctuation, and structure. Strictly ensure correct punctuation throughout, including but not limited to full stops, periods, commas, question marks, exclamation marks, colons, semicolons, apostrophes, and quotation marks, wherever necessary. Correct any missing or incorrect punctuation based on the flow of sentences. White heavy checkmark. Do not add any headings. Keep the original flow intact. Only improve the formatting, structure, punctuation, and flow, without altering or shortening the original content in any way. 1:59 p.m. A young Marine sits alone in a military courtroom, surrounded by senior officers who watch her like she doesn't belong. The general presiding over her hearing leans forward with a smirk and asks a question meant to humiliate her in front of everyone. "What's your kill count?" The room goes silent, waiting for her to break. But when she finally answers, her response doesn't just shock the room, it stops it completely. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If you enjoy stories of quiet strength and hidden sacrifice, consider subscribing, because what happens next will rewrite everything you think you know about respect, authority, and the warriors no one is allowed to remember. The fluorescent lights hum overhead in a windowless room deep inside Naval Station Norfolk. The walls are navy gray, sterile, and cold, designed to remind everyone who enters that this is a place of judgment. 3 cameras mounted in the corners record silently, red lights blinking in steady rhythm. At the center of the room sits a single metal table, and behind it, alone, sits Staff Sergeant Bryn Solis. Her uniform is spotless. Her posture is upright, but not rigid. Her hands rest flat on the surface of the table, fingers spread evenly. She doesn't fidget. She doesn't look around. Her face is calm, unreadable, like someone who has learned to disappear while remaining completely visible. Around her, arranged in a horseshoe formation, 23 senior officers fill the tiered seating, Navy admirals in crisp whites, Marine colonels with rows of ribbons spanning their chests, JAG lawyers flipping through thick folders marked with red, classified, stamps. Some lean back in their chairs with arms crossed. Others whisper to each other, low voices carrying across the room like static. A few glance at Bryn with expressions that range from boredom to thinly veiled contempt. The room feels less like a hearing and more like a trap. At the head of the room, elevated behind an imposing oak bench, sits Lieutenant General Merrick Caldwell. He is 58 years old, a Marine legend with 3 rows of ribbons and silver hair combed back in a style that hasn't changed in decades. His face is carved from granite, sharp angles and hard lines that seem incapable of softening. When he speaks, people listen. When he gives an order, people obey. He radiates authority like heat from a furnace. And right now, that authority is focused entirely on the woman sitting alone below him. The charges against Bryn are vague: conduct unbecoming, insubordination, failure to follow operational protocol. The words are bureaucratic and shapeless, designed to mean everything and nothing at once. The proceeding has been underway for 40 minutes, but Bryn has only been asked procedural questions: name, rank, unit. She answers each in a flat, neutral tone that gives nothing away. Staff Sergeant Bryn Solis. 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force. Forward reconnaissance. Her voice is steady, controlled, like someone reading coordinates over a radio. Caldwell flips through her file without looking at her. The pages turn slowly, deliberately, each motion a performance for the room. He pauses on one page, his jaw tightening as he reads something that clearly irritates him. Then he closes the folder sharply, the sound echoing off the walls like a gavel strike. He doesn't look at her, just the paper, just the words on a page that tell him everything he thinks he needs to know. He leans forward, elbows on the bench, fingers steeple. His voice is calm, but edged with condescension. Marine, your record is inconsistent. 3 commendations, 2 formal reprimands, multiple operational deployments, but almost no mission reports attached to your jacket. How do you explain that? The question hangs in the air, heavy and accusatory. Bryn doesn't hesitate. I don't, sir. Caldwell's eyes narrow. You don't? No, sir. The room shifts. Officers exchange glances. Someone coughs. The atmosphere thickens. Caldwell stands now, slowly, letting the weight of his rank fill the space. He moves around the bench and down the steps, closing the distance between himself and the table where Bryn sits. You were deployed to the South China Sea in 2023. Care to elaborate? No, sir. Persian Gulf, 2024. No, sir. He stops a few feet from her table, arms crossed, towering over her like a statue of judgment. Do you think silence makes you mysterious, Marine, or just difficult? Bryn doesn't react. Her expression doesn't change. Her hands remain flat on the table. She doesn't blink. Caldwell begins to pace, his voice rising with each word. You know what I think, Solace. I think you've been coasting, hiding behind classifications, using bureaucracy as a shield so no one can ask what you actually did during your deployments. He stops directly in front of her table, leaning down so his face is level with hers. I've seen Marines like you before. All mystique, no substance. You get one lucky assignment, ride it for years, and hope no one digs too deep. His words are daggers, sharp and intentional, designed to cut. Several officers nod in agreement. One writes something down on a legal pad. Another leans over and whispers to his neighbor, who smirks. Bryn's jaw tightens. It's subtle, barely visible, but it's there. A flicker of tension that betrays the calm exterior. Her knuckles press harder against the table. Her breathing slows, but she says nothing. Caldwell straightens, turning to address the panel now, his voice theatrical and confident. You want to sit there in silence? Fine. But this panel will make its recommendation based on what I see. And what I see is someone who doesn't belong in the Marine Corps. The words land like a verdict. The room feels smaller, hotter. Bryn's eyes remain fixed on a point just past Caldwell's shoulder, staring at nothing, seeing everything. In the back row, almost invisible among the sea of uniforms, sits a man who has been silent the entire hearing. Rear Admiral Idris Kale, early 50s, salt and pepper beard, eyes like steel. He hasn't spoken once, hasn't moved. But now, as Caldwell delivers his monologue, Kale shifts in his seat. He opens a thin folder in his lap, the kind reserved for information too sensitive to circulate widely. He reads something. His expression changes. It's subtle but clear. His jaw tightens. His hand grips the armrest. He closes the folder slowly, deliberately, and sets it on his lap. His eyes lock onto Bryn. He doesn't look away. Caldwell calls for a recess. 15 minutes. The room empties in a wave of noise and movement. Officers gather in clusters outside, their voices filtering back through the open door. 3 years forward deployed and not a single after-action report. That's not classification. That's cover-up. Caldwell's right. She's hiding something. Or maybe she just pissed off the wrong person. The whispers carry weight. Each one another layer of judgment pressed down on Bryn's shoulders. Inside, she sits alone. A junior officer brings her a cup of water and sets it on the table. She doesn't drink it, doesn't even look at it. Her hands remain flat on the table, but now they're gripping the edge. Her knuckles are white. Admiral Kale walks past her table slowly, his footsteps deliberate. He doesn't stop, doesn't speak. But as he passes, he glances down at her hands. He sees the tension, the strain. He pauses for half a second, just long enough for the moment to register, then keeps walking. The hearing resumes. Officers file back in, the noise settling into a low hum before falling silent. Caldwell returns to his bench, energized now, sensing blood in the water. He leans forward again, a predator closing in. Let's talk about your last deployment. You were attached to a Navy SEAL task unit as a liaison. Is that correct? Yes, sir. And during that deployment, you claim to have participated in direct action operations. I don't claim anything, sir. But you were involved in combat engagements? The room leans in. Every eye is on her now. Yes, sir. Caldwell's smirk widens. How many? Bryn hesitates. I don't have an exact number, sir. Ballpark? She doesn't answer. Caldwell turns to the panel, his voice dripping with mockery. Come on, Marine. You're a forward reconnaissance operator. Surely you kept count. Still nothing.